Hello, everyone. I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today's guest is a multi-award winning actor, writer, producer, and singer-songwriter whose impressive and diverse body of work is rapidly making him a force to be reckoned with in the entertainment industry. His many television appearances include Underpaid, Age of the Living Dead, Christian Brothers, What's to Come, Smothered, Another K. Rashad Moment, and Nico Live. He's appeared in a number of movies, including Funeral Arrangements, Bus Stop, Curtain Call, which earned him a Best Supporting Actor nomination, Arranged Marriage, and Reunion of Champions, which is currently streaming on Amazon and Tubi. He also produced, wrote, and starred in the innovative and exciting sci-fi drama short film Emotical, which won him 7 awards, including Best Actor. And this coming spring, he'll be starring in the highly anticipated feature film Memoirs of a Vixen. There seems to be nothing this man can't do. He's released 2 albums under the name JT Slimcutta. He's appeared in musical theater. He has his own YouTube channel containing his video shows entitled Real Review, giving his unique perspective on movies and TV shows, and The JT Effect, which promotes critical and forward thinking and motivation. And he's created his own comedy sketch series called Deliver the Funny. On top of all that, he's in the process of writing a book anthology called the Prodigy Series. And the first 2 books, Humble Beginnings and Let's Get to Work, are now available. I'm delighted to welcome JohnFThomas to our show. John, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And that's one of the best intros I've ever heard. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. John, I have to start by mentioning your work in Bus Stop, which is a short film written and directed by the brilliant Pichanda Dubose, who's appeared on our show twice. The movie stars my very dear friend, the legendary Ernest Hardin Jr., who's also appeared on our show. I absolutely love that movie. What was it like working on that film?
It was a brilliant experience. It was amazing. Once Pichanda reached out to me and was telling me about the idea of Bus Stop, it was great. And I adored and I thought it was an interesting perspective of the idea of let's highlight the people that are often ignored, the people that oftentimes we may walk by when we're going to the grocery store or when we're driving, the homeless people before they were homeless, they had lives. They were, and they are full-fledged people. I guess we get so caught up in our world of just going to work and things like that we forget that this is somebody's brother, sister, dad, son, daughter, family member. This is a real person. So when she introduced that idea to him, I was like, oh man, I want to see what this is going to look like. And working with Ernest and working with Danae, who played Ernest's daughter, and my good friend James, it was so professional. It was just a really great experience.
Well, for anyone out there who hasn't yet seen Bus Stop, you can stream it on Pichanda Dubose's website, pichandadubose.com. John, when I look at your bio, it's clear that you were meant to be an entertainer. You've been performing all your life, correct?
Yes. I grew up with a family. My mom's side of the family sings. My dad's side of the family sings. My dad used to go around with a group of his friends when he was younger, and he used to just go perform. They had like a quartet, like I guess a gospel quartet, and they used to sing together, and they would constantly be asked to perform at events, perform at weddings or wherever the case may be. And I just grew up, being with my dad, and he would have his equipment and he'd get up there and perform. And eventually he pulled me up there to sing background, for him or whatever else. And it's just embedded in me, from my mom and my dad. She would be up there singing with him. She'd have her solos. He'd have his solos. They sing together. We're just a singing, entertaining family.
Well, how did your family react when you told them that you wanted to move to Los Angeles to pursue a career in show business?
Oh, man, they weren't that excited about it at first, clearly, because I was leaving from Tennessee to go all the way to California. And I didn't have any family over here. So it wasn't, it was kind of nerve-wracking for my mom, since there was no brother or sister or cousin that she could reach out to tell them like, hey, make sure my son is okay if he needs anything, whatever like that. And my dad, he just kept it very honest with me. And he was just like, hey, look, a lot of people who get into this line of business, it's tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Sometimes it takes a very long time. So I think he just put it into perspective for me and really had me sit down and think like, is this really what you want to do? And after much thought and just that fire burning in me. And I was, still young at the time. I was like, I don't have a wife. I don't have any kids. So this is the best time for me to do it. And I just wanted to live a life with no regrets, like not looking back and thinking, what if I did this? What if I did that? And I just wanted to take that leap and see what happens.
Well, I love the fact that you refer to the fire in you because I sense it in your work. I sense it in you now. You have enormous charisma, enormous likability. I want to ask you, John, at some point in your career, around late 2017, you decided to start creating your own content. What motivated that decision?
What was funny about that was I was working these jobs as we often do in LA, especially if you're trying to pursue being an actor. And as I was working these jobs, I had a full-time job at the time. And I could have just strictly did that, but there was just something in me to just like, man, I want to get out. I had these funny ideas and I just got tired of seeing other people put up this funny content. And I was like, oh, I had that idea. And it was just really annoying getting to the point where seeing like, oh, I had this idea. I should have pulled the trigger. I had this idea. Oh, man, somebody beat me to it. And it's just like, why not just do it myself? So whenever I had the downtime, I would just tell my coworker, hey, let's go into this room and record this for me. So I would put the stuff together and I was like, I'll just throw it up and see what people thought. And I think one of my first skits that I put up, Betsy Brandt from Breaking Bad, I happened to run into her, but she saw my skit and she was like, haha, this is hilarious. And I was just like, whoa. I was like, if the great Betsy Brandt thinks that I'm funny, somebody that definitely has amazing accolades, then I must have something good going there. And quickly from there, I ended up reaching out to this other person who is a finance professor, Dr. Boyce Watkins, because I mentioned him in one of my skits. And I was just like, hey, I don't want you to be angry. I mentioned you, so don't get mad at me or throw me under the bus or sue me or whatever. So, but he watched it. He thought it was funny. And from there, I started getting paid to do skits. And I was just like, oh, wow. So if I really put a little bit more, like I'm only putting like 20% at this time. But if I put more, like 60% or 70%, how far would it really go? And I'm already getting this, amount with Betsy Brandt saying something. Then I started getting paid to do skits. So it's like, how far can I really take it if I really put close to 100% in there? And I have no regrets ever since then. It's been an amazing journey since.
Do you like writing as much as you like acting?
Yeah, I love writing and I think I love them equally. It's something like to act on screen is to take, as take this character that was already written for you and to bring it to life. But even when I write it, it's basically the same concept. It's like, okay, how do I take this character that's on paper, fully flesh this person out? What's the backstory? Why are they here right now? What are they thinking? What are their motivations? What do they desire? What do they want in this situation? And et cetera, et cetera. And it's amazing to take your character and to talk with the other actors and to have them do their process and you bring it together. And ultimately to showcase, to present that to the audience and for the audience to get lost in that as much as you're getting lost in it as an actor. And when it comes to writing, it's just something amazing where I'm just creating this world and I'm creating these characters and they're real in this moment. It's like, oh, I took something from an idea. That idea kind of came from nothing or came from the ethos out there, came into my mind and me putting it on paper. And it's an amazing process to see me write that and to have my friends read it. What do you think? And then to see the actors bring it to life. It's just a beautiful process. And to talk with people, it's like, oh man, that story was so great. Because, a lot of times as a creative, you're wondering, man, is this good? Am I doing the right thing? Am I crazy? Is this even worth it? And to ultimately just get that confirmation as a, yes, you know what you're doing. You're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. So it's an amazing experience. It's almost, even though I know I guess I explained it in a way, there's another part of it that's almost inexplainable. It's just something that's it's almost like when people, it's basically you're creating your own baby. But then you have to let it go and hopefully it can grow and thrive. And I'm just glad that it's been thriving so far.
You co-wrote and starred in Emotico, which is a very intense, intricate story. It's one of the very few science fiction films featuring an all-Black cast. Why do you think Black actors are so rarely seen in sci-fi movies, except for maybe one token Black person?
It's funny. There is a vocal audience, like for instance, what was it, Game of Thrones recently, I think, when they introduced some Black characters, and a lot of people are, I see, sometimes I sit down and I read some of the comments and man, these people are upset, and I think I know why. On one hand, I could be upset about that, but the other hand, I try to get an understanding about like why is that, and the thing is, for decades, they've had so many shows that showcased just either an all white cast or just maybe one Black person, one Asian person, and everybody else is white. And they've had it that way for the longest. And once you start to them, it feel like, oh, you're taking this away from me. You're forcing something into what I'm just used to seeing. And it can be jarring. So I can definitely understand that. But, so instead of me just asking, can you put more of me, which that would be great to put, more people of color into these films. It's just like, why don't I just create it myself? Because Black people, we love space, we love science. There's been so many great Black scholars and things like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is an amazing, I think it's astrophysicist, or I probably got the word wrong for him, but he's brilliant. So it's like Black people, we can be, and in every other race, we can be great in all these things, So I just want to have that same experience. So with the motor call, I just wanted to, it's a story where these people happen to be Black. It's nothing about, they're going and saying, oh, Black power or anything like that. It's just like, no, we can do the same thing in those situations because we're human. We're all human. So in this situation, these people happen to be Black. In this situation, they can happen to be all Asian or happen to be all Hispanic. But in this one, I just wanted the main cast to be Black. And just to showcase that we can do the same thing too. Given the opportunity, we can save the world, without having assistance, in most movies, like the white guy coming in, hey, Black man, let me help you with this, because you can't do it by yourself. So that's constantly how those films kind of play out. But I wanted to be like, no, we can save ourselves, or we can save the world and look good doing it, or whatever the story calls for. So, and it's funny, like I almost wrote in a white character because I was just like, oh man, maybe I should write. But then I had to stop myself because that was just what I guess the fear of Hollywood or whatever. And I was like, nobody's over me. I am the executive producer. I am the, one of the writers. So I have control. So I can say what I say goes in this film. And I haven't got any kickback on this or any negative feedback on this. And nobody has said they felt offended, on any side, no white person or whatever. So that's a win for me, and Black people, they love it as well. They're like, oh, wow, it's good to see us in this kind of story, in this frame. So it's been a great experience. I'm glad I get a win all the way across the board.
Well, I loved it. As you know, John, a lot has been said in recent years about the many obstacles in Hollywood for people of color. There's racism, there's stereotypes, there's disrespect, There seems to be a preference for hiring Black actors from England rather than from America. What's your take on the landscape out there for Black actors in Hollywood these days?
It's still tough. There will be people, including myself, who are saying progress is being made for sure. But it's still tough where, just like you just mentioned, there are actors from England being cast. And it's just not for Black people. It's for white actors as well. Henry Cavill, Tom Holland, and there's people that you'll hear after a while once they do these interviews. And it's like, oh, wow. Like you hear the British accent.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I never knew, this person was from England. So, which they're great actors, but also there needs to be a focus on bringing up the homegrown American actors as well. It's hard enough that it's hard for us to get these roles, which I know they have great training over there in England, but there's some great training here as well in America, and we oftentimes we look everywhere else except for right in your own backyard, so we're here, we're ready to go. I know of myself and other people, as I'm sure you interviewed plenty of amazing actors, and you're just like, man, they should be on more things, and they should be on, because we have plenty. There's actors that I've seen that, man, this person has been in the game for like 20, 30 years, and they're good. But it's like, why haven't you been in more stuff? So they're here, they're just not being utilized like they should. So I think that's probably something that us as actors, we need to come together and figure out, us and producers and the writers, to create for one another, to give ourselves that opportunity if Hollywood isn't trying to do that, or have us navigate higher and higher within Hollywood and make those changes ourselves to, bring us more to the forefront. Like, I have no problem with, actors from England getting these roles, but there's some roles that we can be getting as well, so just, I guess, kind of make it a little bit more fair across the board.
I'd like to see that happen, and it's a common theme that I hear all the time from actors who appear on my show, and I stand behind you, beside you, and with you on that issue. Now, John, you've been singing all your life, and I've watched some of your musical performances on YouTube. You released 2 albums entitled How I Feel and Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself. You also appeared in a musical theater production back in 2016 called Letters to Eve. But you seem to have moved away from a music career, and you're far more focused on acting now. Why?
Music was my first passion. It was my first love, and it will forever be my first love. But I started noticing that the music industry wasn't keeping up like it should. So I know you probably remember when so many people were illegally downloading and bootlegging movies and films. I think LimeWire was one of the big ones back in the day.
And Napster.
Right, Napster, yeah, exactly. And the movie industry quickly adapted, to stop that. So what did they do? They started having instead of getting just regular DVDs, or you can download the movie, but how about we introduce the Blu-ray DVD? Oh, special features. Oh, the director's notes, what the actors think behind the scenes, this is that and the other. Oh, and you can put them in your apartment and it sounds like you're in the movies. Oh, enhanced audio, all of that stuff. So they were able, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, instead of this guy walking across my screen and I can't see the movie and the quality's kind of crap when I download, I could get the Blu-ray DVD because I really do love this director. I really would love to hear what the actor thinks. So all of that was amazing perks to kind of turn them away from downloading things illegally. Some people still were, but that really kind of curbed that. When it came to music, they didn't really do the same, so, and also recently with recently enough, there's been those articles where Taylor Swift was taking her music down off of Spotify. Yeah, Spotify only pays you per stream a fraction of a penny. Right. And there were times where I'd get like 150 streams, and it's like, oh, here's 11 cents. And it's like, for 150 streams, for people streaming that, and that doesn't make any sense. So when Taylor Swift took her music down off of Spotify, I was like, great, yeah, do that. That makes perfect sense. But then the president tried to turn around and say, oh, you're hurting your fans. You're taking your music away from them. And it's like, no, you're trying to change the narrative because you're not paying the artists, especially with country music. Because I know I was about to move to Nashville initially and start writing country music. It's expensive to get those performers in there to play, violinists, celloists, piano players, bass players, trumpet players, all of that stuff that costs on top of paying for studio time, on top of paying for the engineers, mixers, all of that stuff. It is very, very expensive because country music, it has to be live for the most part. It has to. So you have to pay for those live performers. And the music industry just didn't back up its artists. Even with those articles, they didn't go and talk to the Spotify owner, say, hey, let's renegotiate, let's pay the artists better. They didn't do any of that, so that it bummed me out in a sense to where I was like, I'm putting in more work and not getting really anything back from it. But with acting, I can just go for like one weekend and like with Bus Stop and do this, do my performance, and I get paid better than I would have gotten paid with music. So, and also I just feel like there's more for me to do in acting, in writing these great movies and potentially shows and things like that, to where I can reach more people. But music is still a love of mine, and I will go back to music, but I just had to change my focus because the music industry doesn't respect the artists like it should. At least the movie industry does make attempts to make it better for their artists, their actors, writers, directors, etc.
Well, I think one day there's going to be another musical come out, maybe something like Dreamgirls. You would have been perfect in the Eddie Murphy role because you do sing.
Yes.
So it's still going to come in handy. You'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. So it's from my agents. They're still pitching me for these singing roles, and I'm taking them whenever the auditions come up. So one of these days you'll see me on TV singing. So I'm sure.
And in the movies, I want to ask you about Reunion of Champions, which is a comedic action drama film that's been described as Mortal Kombat meets The Big Chill. You play a guy named Aaron who seems to be the complete opposite of who you really are, John. Was that a challenging role for you?
Yeah, and initially it was. Actually, the funny thing was I was taking acting class a little bit before then, or leading up into that, and the acting coach was trying to get me to play opposite of who I really am. He was like, you're such a nice guy. You're so sweet. Just try to start saying no. More you were just giving me all these different things. Just go out, just say no. Just try to be a little bit meaner. And I was like, oh man, it was like, yeah, just do it. And he'd give me these roles that would be the opposite of who I am. So we would work on that. So once it came to this role, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. And he helped me with that as well. And it's funny, I was basically, I guess, playing against type, because even
you
the director,
do it really, really, really well. First of all, it's not easy because I'm sure you've been told this before. You have a smile that can light up a country, never mind the room, right? So you have enormous warmth and you have enormous sincerity. So for you to play against type so convincingly could not have been easy. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. No, it was fun. The funny note, the director almost didn't cast me for that because of the confidence I brought into the room. But he told me, even his mom, it was like, I'm her favorite character in the movie. And I was just like, whoa, okay, because she's one of the producers on there as well. It's like a family producing team. And that was one of the biggest compliments, even to hear like, man, I almost didn't cast you, but you did a great job. My mom loves you. And it's like, oh, wow, this and to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much to acknowledge that. And, so this has been great. It's been a dream come true to, man, play something. But it's funny, my acting coach said that all of these things are in us. We just hide them away. So like the very shy person, that's in me, but I stow it away. I choose not to acknowledge that through the regular days of life. But I've been trying to just open myself up to everything in me. And that kind of helps me access these characters. So yeah.
I think that's why you're on a path, a destiny to even bigger, even better roles, because you do have that fire and you do
Thank
have
you.
that openness and that willingness to embrace opposites, opposite to who you are, opposite to the way you think,
Yeah.
opposite to your own perspective, but you do it very convincingly and you really do a wonderful job. Now, you've created your own comedy sketch series called Deliver the Funny. So I got to ask you, John, what drives your sense of humor?
You know, I've been a big fan of like Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Rodney Dangerfield. You know, so it's all these comedians. They're hilarious. Oh, and Living Color is one of my most favorite comedy sketch shows. And to point out the hilarious is the thing that we overlook, and also the things that we all can relate to, that we kind of, oh, that's funny, oh, this person at work or whatever, you know, these things. And I think that's funny. Or, you know, sometimes I sit there and think, you know, the things that I want to say at work or or to people that we don't say. And I was like, that would be funny if that person said that. So then I would create these scenarios. What if this person said that? And I try to find the funny in that. And that's been a joy. I took a break doing Deliver the Funny, but I will be getting back to that very soon, because there's been people that's been reaching out to me, man, I miss your skits, I miss your sketches, and I miss doing them as well. But I did want to take a break to do more serious projects. Now that I've done that, it's like, okay, now because I wanted just to show I'm well versed. I'm
You're
covered
very
across the
well
board.
rounded.
Yeah, yeah. And
Well, I
so
want to tell you something. I've noticed something about your comedy. I think you can probably tell I do my research before these interviews. And the thing about your comedy, John, that I really appreciate, there's always a message beneath the humor, usually relating to social justice and equality. Do you see your role as an artist as a way to promote positive change through your artistry?
yeah, I'd like to think of my content as smart comedy. I mean, I don't want to say like I'm brilliant or anything, or
No, but it's intelligent humor.
yeah, like because I want to have the funny, like kind of dumb stuff in there too, but also I'd like to have a message here and there, because it's like, well, because a lot of times we laugh at whatever, but if I can have you leave thinking about something, then I really won. Because what's the point of us giving this? Because there's so much information that's being dumped out on us, but what are we really gaining from that? So if anything, with my content, if you can watch it and potentially gain something from it, even with something as simple as one of my skits that has been getting a lot of traction kind of worldwide, is a skit where this guy has bad breath on the elevator. And that happened to me in real life. So that's where that skit derived from. But even with that, it's just kind of like, hey, just try to make sure that you have a mint or something, or at least try not to be so forceful with how you talk to people if everything isn't on point and with your mouth. So there's always, I like to add in a little message if I can, but also I want to keep people laughing. So I thank you for noticing that.
Well, I really do see you as a very well-rounded artist, because you have the humor, you have the music, you're very versatile as an actor. Which brings me to my next question. Your next starring role will be in Memoirs of a Vixen, which is a thriller where you play a husband who gets in way over his head when he asks his wife to satisfy his sexual fantasies. Have you seen the full movie yet?
I haven't seen the full movie yet, but reading the script was wild. Because again, same thing with like Reunion of Champions. This is against type. I would never do that, so, but one thing I remember hearing from the amazing Meryl Streep, she said, never judge your character. And that's the first thing we all want to do, is either we judge ourselves or we judge the next person. So I just asked, okay, what makes this person want to do that? Why what drove them to get to this point to be like, oh, I like that. I'm comfortable with this. So I created that backstory. I did my research on the people who do Dom, Vixen, and sub lifestyles. And I just did my research on that to get a better understanding.
That must have been fun.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. That was that was different. I was like, okay, I still wouldn't do it personally, but I was like, okay, let me open myself. What if I did that? So I really dove down to think about, oh, if this person I talked to, would I be in this world if at the extremes that would drive me to this? And that kind of opened me up to that, where it's like, okay, yeah, my wife, I'm giving her away to these people to my pleasure in a sense. So that was definitely interesting. And I was definitely getting a lot of kudos on that set. So many people were stopping me, man, that was a really great job. And man, it's definitely going to have people talking. I can't wait for you all to see it. It should be coming out this spring around May, I believe, April or May. So Tubi is where you can see it.
So what's next for JohnFThomas? Have you got any other upcoming projects that you're allowed to tell us about?
Yeah. So with that same company that I've done Memoirs of a Vixen with, we have another project coming up called Deadly Bonds, where I will be playing. It's about this husband and wife who, on the surface, it seems like they have a really good life and he has a lot of money, but the wife is unhappy and she is stepping out with my character. So I will be playing the character who she is stepping out with, and all of the drama surrounding that, where she's leading double lives. She's trying to figure it out. And as with the title Deadly Bonds, it potentially can get deadly because of what it kind of leads to, because you're dealing with people's heart, their emotions, their trust, breaking up the trust. So this is definitely going to be something that will hook you going into this story, because it's almost like watching a soap opera. Like, girl, no, why are you doing that? Don't do that, girl. You're yelling at the TV and, oh man, of course, that's so stupid or whatever. Those things that always hook us with which Bobby and Renee Peoples, who did write Memoirs of a Vixen and have written Deadly Bonds and will be filming that, they are very, very good at hooking you in. I think I watched one of their other movies. I wasn't even trying to watch the entire thing. I was trying to watch like 10 minutes. I sat down and watched the entire movie because the way they wrote it, I was hooked in. I had to see how this story finished. So they are very good at that, and you guys will love that as well. That should be out later this year, probably in winter.
Well, I'm looking forward to Memoirs of a Vixen and that one, Deadly Bonds. John, when I was doing my research and now in talking with you, I get the strong feeling that you have a very well-defined vision of who you are, what your particular gifts are, and how you want your life, especially your career, to play out. Am I right?
Yes. And that's mainly thanks to watching people like Will Smith and Denzel Washington. If I could get anywhere close to their stratosphere, that would be amazing. But they know what they want for their career. And I've tried to model myself after that. So hand in hand with my agents, with what I submit to or what I turn down. Thankfully now there's projects now that I have been, which is unfortunate in a sense. It's like, oh man, I wish I could take that role, but if it doesn't really gel with the brand that I'm trying to present and how I want people to perceive of me, and just, more of the positive roles, or at least roles that have you thinking in that sense, or to showcase like these are different people. There's a certain image that I want to put out. I'm trying to curate that. And yeah, like I said, thankfully now I can kind of turn down roles. So that's a good thing that I've reached this point. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm very intrigued by the personal brand and the image. What I read from you very clearly is integrity. And you have, at times in your life, John, been a motivator or a role model for other people, even a motivational speaker, correct?
Yes.
And that comes from your integrity, which you convey in everything you do. And I really think you're on the right path. And it's not just people like Denzel or Will Smith. I see Samuel L. Jackson in you, I see Paul Newman in you. I see a far more versatility than you may even be willing to see yourself.
Hey, I will definitely take that because I'm open to learning all of these new characters I have yet to play, to portray them on scene, to bring that audience on a ride with me. And man, this is so fun. It's so fun to still, because a lot of times when you're growing up, it's like, oh, it's time to put those childish things away, go to work and, really put your head down and do what you have to do, which, that's fine for, the people who do that, if they're happy doing whatever it is that they're doing.
You mean
But
people that tell you to get a real job?
Right. Yeah. But the funny thing is when they want to relax and unwind, they go watch us. So, we help them get to relax. We help them think about other things. We help them go to different worlds and think different ideas. So especially during the pandemic, that was one of the most important times of like, oh, get a real job, because when you were stuck, all you were doing was watching actors on these TV shows and movies. And because otherwise, if you didn't have them to watch, people would have just gone insane. So what we do is very important. And I love it to still take my imagination as a child and keep that into adulthood and just let it nourish and grow and thrive. And it's amazing because I get to learn and understand people better by playing these roles. And I'm less judgmental towards people from playing these amazing roles. And it's beautiful. It's a great journey.
You're still a very young man, especially from where I am in life. And I see you as someone who's quite grounded, very balanced. You're humble, you're ambitious, but you're prepared to carve out a career that you feel reflects who you really are. Have you found a group of friends in Hollywood, like-minded people, other creatives like you who share that vision?
Oh yes, thankfully, thank God. I'm glad. That's one of the hardest things in Hollywood, to find like-minded groups or even genuine people. So one of the sad things is, there are nice people in Hollywood, but not everybody is completely genuine. So many people are so self-focused, or I'll use you to get where I'm trying to go. Okay, bye. I don't need you anymore. Drop you off at the corner. But I found some people who really do care, who will call just to talk. Hey, how are you doing? And those people are truly, truly important. It's almost like those family members or your best friends who will keep you grounded, who will stay honest with you and let you know what's going on. So, and I try to look at some of these, celebrities or, public figures who are out there that unfortunately they make these very strange and interesting decisions. And a lot of times it seems like, man, where are their real friends, to tell them, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. And I thank God that I have people around me that I can reach out to. And it doesn't matter the accolades that I get, they will stay honest with me. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, man. That's not smart, whatever. Or even I have some friends that tell me, yeah, like that was good what you put up. I didn't really get it, or it wasn't that funny to me, or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's good. Like, thank you. I needed to hear that, instead of people, oh, you're great. Everything you do, even if it's horrible, it's great. Like that's nice too, but it's good having those people to keep you grounded around you, which I'm sure you already know. Like, and I'm probably thankful for the people around you to keep you grounded and keep you humble, because I feel the same energy from you as well.
Well, I thank you for that. I find that there is a community of people in Los Angeles who are so self-absorbed, so focused on their own success, that they'll do and say anything to get themselves ahead. And I've gotten the impression from talking to people in the industry, especially young people like you, that it's lonely, that it can be very frightening, very lonely. It's hard to know who to trust. And you're such an open and warm person. I feel like I want to be one of those people that's there to keep you grounded. If you'll let me.
Please do. Yes, I need all the people that'll help keep me grounded. You can never have a big enough tribe. So please, welcome into my tribe. I'd love to have you.
Well, once you go in my heart, that's where you stay.
Hey, just lock me up and throw away the key.
I want to tell our viewers that you can find out more about John F. Thomas by going to his official website, JohnFThomas.com. You can also subscribe to the John F. Thomas YouTube channel and enjoy his many podcasts, comedy sketches, and musical performances. I had quite a good time watching. And you can follow him on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, John, I have only one more question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Given that you're something of a Renaissance man, you're so multi-talented, where do you see yourself in 5 years in terms of your career?
In 5 years, I see myself working with some really big names. Actually, it's funny. Last year, I finally got to audition for Arnold Schwarzenegger project. I didn't get it, but I was just like, man, that is the start. That is the start. So bigger projects, bigger roles, and coming back on here to talk more about what I've been doing. So yeah, I just see myself working with some greats in the future, like Angela Bassett, man, like Meryl Streep. Like those two are juggernauts. People like that. If I can work with Denzel Washington, I know he said he was going to be retiring from acting soon, but I think he's going to be directing. So in any capacity that I can work with Denzel Washington, that would be great. But to do that, and also with that platform that I would have at that point to give back and help out other actors and help out other, especially Black women actors, because it's really hard for them to get in and to thrive and to really do what they need to do. Like Viola Davis and Lupita Nyong'o are rarities, especially being darker skinned Black women. So if I can use my platform to help other people, that's what I want to do. And not just Black people, Hispanic people, Asians, everybody across the board. If you're talented, I want to help. So that's hopefully is what I can get to at a certain point, because it's not just about me. It's about all of us. We're a community. There's room for everybody. It's not just about me winning. We all can win.
Well, John, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and having this chance to chat with you. I wish you the best of luck with all your projects. I can't wait to have you back anytime you have something you want to share with us. You are always welcome on our show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure being invited to this amazing platform that you have, to your amazing audience. Thank you all for watching, for listening. And I look forward to seeing you in the future at one of these events, or I don't know, in the street somewhere. Stop me, say hello. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you so much, John, for taking the time to appear on our show. Our guest has been the wonderful, multi-talented actor, writer, producer, and music artist, John F. Thomas. My name is Harvey Brownstone. Thank you to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you to my fabulous management team, Rick and Robin at the Marcelli Company in Hollywood, and to my entire team at XPTV1 in the UK. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.